I have here a genuine replacement Ariens friction disc and an eraser. And I'll show you that nowadays, perhaps in the last 10 years or so, Ariens is putting discs that are crazy soft. That means it's going to wear 2-3 times faster than perhaps the disc in your snowblower from the 80s or 90s or 70s. When a disc would last 20-30 years, mine did last 5 years. 5 years only, around 25 hours of use. Yes, I do engage and disengage quite often because I have a driveway and I need to clear what the throw plug throws in front of my alley. But I don't shift on the go. I just really engage, disengage. And yeah, so I did replace mine. Let me just show you a little bit. See, this is an eraser. If I will just try to depress, that's what it does. And if I try to depress the disc, well, it's stronger than the eraser, but it's very soft. And I did replace it with a Oregon disc, which is just the same dimensions. It's a standard aftermarket replacement. This is the disc that went bad on me. Perhaps you can see the difference in between the two discs. Both are genuine. You can tell the wear on the old one. Actually, the old one started moving very slow in reverse, and at some point I lost the reverse. The forward will still move, but the reverse I lost it. And there was a lot of rubber bits inside my pan, belly pan underneath. When I did remove the pan, it was dark with rubber bits on it. And this I purchased this. So this was what came originally with the snowblower, purchased about in 2015. It's a 22-inch model, but I've heard they use about the same disc in all models, even stronger models. I don't know, it's just information from the forums. So it says Ariens 708. Replacement actually 1708, if you can see it, Ariens 1708. Again, it comes from the mine dealership. In Canada, I paid maybe $25 or so. Be aware that 90% of the ones you'll find on eBay are fake, aftermarket counterfeit. So I did purchase this, but in the end, I did get an Oregon from a small shop on eBay, but it's difficult to find this. This one going to be, looks like 76G, perhaps 14. Stands, it replaces stands 240 975 or rotary 10169, made in USA. Yeah, so it's a genuine Oregon. It was sealed. Because you'll find Oregon, a lot of Oregon that will just be counterfeit because they don't have the bag and they say it's Oregon is made in China. But the Oregon one, just check this clip when I tested both side by side, the Ariens and the Oregon one. I'm going to replace perhaps with this Oregon. It's clear that the Oregon has more material to it. All the wear material. Not even 5 years, and it needs replaced because perhaps Ariens is using a much softer rubber. See how soft it is? It's just soft. It says it's smooth engagement, while this Oregon, it seems to be much harder. I just cannot depress it with my fingernail. It's impossible. So I did replace the Oregon, no question for me. I will keep this for spare. But the discs that Ariens is putting in their machine these days are just insane soft, insane. They cut this smooth engagement when you engage the disc to drive the snowblower. Yes, maybe it's a little bit smoother. I don't think it was really needed, but you pay a hefty price, especially if you can't do it. If you cannot do it yourself, you have to bring the snowblower to the dealership. They're gonna charge you maybe $20-25 for the disc, and maybe you guys know how much for the repair, maybe $100 or so, but you have to bring it there, right? You need a truck or something. If you don't have a truck, what you gonna do? So maybe you can find someone who repairs snowblowers at your home. I don't know, but this is just it doesn't make any kind of sense, any kind of sense to put a part that will wear in 20-30 hours of use maybe 40 hours if you have like a smooth drive, flat, and you don't have to disengage oftentimes. But like I told you, when the city plowing trucks just pass by in front of our homes, they throw that snow. Even if it's not compacted, you have to work around the snowblower. There's no other way around. So there are many situations when this is going to wear very, very fast compared with what was done in the past. And also another part that failed on my snowblower on Ariens is this bearing here. This is the bearing that goes on the shaft that goes to the auger. So you have to split open the machine and remove the pulley that has the belt for the augers, and then the bearing is behind that pulley. It's not too difficult to split the machine open. Just make sure you support the rear of the machine because it's going to flip back. But again, Ariens did put a Chinese brand for this bearing, and when I serviced my disc, I did inspect this bearing. It was completely rusted. Just check the picture. And it's a cheap Chinese bearing, and to add to the insult, Ariens is selling that bearing, at least in Canada. I did call the dealership, and they were asking for something like $40 Canadian, so maybe $30 US. That doesn't make any trace of sense to me. So I went on eBay and I did purchase this nice 1635, at least for my 22 inches Ariens. This is a direct replacement made by Nice. Actually, it's a brand of SKF. I think these are all stocks. And this was under $7 or so. And the problem is that this bearing, stays right by the auger. So that auger that is spinning very fast to throw the snow upwards and into the chute, this seal is completely exposed to the snow that's passing, that's spinning in there, to all the small rocks, what you can find in the dirty snow in city near the streets. It's slapping into this seal, so you need to have a top quality bearing. There's no question about it. There's absolutely unreasonable to put a cheap Chinese bearing in that critical place. That's the most sensitive place in the whole snowblower, besides perhaps the friction disc and the drive belts. Again, a mistake. A surprising mistake from Ariens. I just cannot explain this because, again, if you cannot or don't have tools, if you are maybe a 67-year-old guy, or maybe I don't think maybe a single woman will have a snowblower, but if you don't have the tools, don't have a little bit of skills to replace these things, if you are not handy, you need to bring the whole machine for servicing, and maybe even it's going to fail on you in the middle of the snowstorm. It doesn't make sense to me, and this, in my opinion, after 5 years or 30 years hours of operation, is not the part that's meant to be serviced. Not even the belts are meant to be serviced. My belts were good, but this and the friction disc were just the friction disc was also already failed, but this one was about to fail. So it's the two parts that I find shockingly unjustifiably low of quality in critical parts in a snowblower. Otherwise, my snowblower went very nice. The other problem is not just Ariens, is all the snowblowers have these small OHV engines. Mine it's a 208 cc, and they never start at the end of the summer storage. They never start. So I have a trick. Just I'll put comments. I will link my playlist in the comment section. Check that playlist. How I start that thing, and maybe other tricks with your snowblower. So I still recommend Ariens. I still do recommend, they have many other good parts. Be aware that Ariens is all Imperial. Everything is Imperial. The nuts, the screws, the bearings is all Imperial in inches. So I do recommend them over most other brands, but be aware that for some reason, someone in the management or at Ariens it is just clueless. It doesn't know what he's doing, and I think, and maybe I'm finishing with this, it's damaging the brand reputation. It's really damaging in the long term to put cheap parts at critical places in a snowblower that will need to be brought in for servicing at high cost. It's absolutely just my last words for that manager who doesn't know what he's doing at Ariens. Don't mess this brand, because the reputation has been built for decades, and now it's very easy to put cheap parts and to ruin the brand. In 10-15 years, everybody will know that that brand has problems and the sales are going to drop. You are going to be in another company by then, but you did the damage. It's already too late. It's very easy to ruin a reputation, and it's really hard to build it back up again. Thanks for watching.